Welcome again to the Island of Misfit Toys. We're getting kind of crazy here. We're going live, but I'm bringing in two of my very good buddies. First off, of course, you know him as the Sarge, Xazyl Phoenix.
I've been hurt. All right, at ease.
And we've heard of the French
Hello,
connection,
hello.
and we've heard of the connections for internet and IT, but he's my buddy, Toy Connections. We call him Ken.
Transform and roll out.
We all did the sound effect when we were kids, right? Sometimes the Transformers took a little bit longer to transform, and so you're like delicately trying to transform, but also do the sounds. And so if you got a
Yeah. Sometimes the sounds would last a minute or so. I'd be doing for a long time, and then getting
kid,
stuck.
I still do it.
Yeah, same. I do it when I do it my Zippo.
Oh God, I needed that. It's been one of those weeks. You guys make this StreamYard live stream thing make it look way too freaking easy. I'll just put it to you that way.
Well, I got to say, Ryan, the first time that I went live by myself, I was petrified. At first, I was afraid, and then I was petrified. And then, before you know it, I had you guys jumping in on the chat, and then eventually right up in there into the live stream itself. So you made me feel very, very welcome and very supported. So I'm more than happy to do the same for you, my friend.
I remember that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. You guys have been super great to me. So, I can't tell you thank you enough. Xazyl, I've gotten to interact with an idol of mine from childhood. And most of the time people say, don't meet your heroes because you'll be disappointed. But I have to say that, Sarge is more than what I thought he would be. He is truly a great person. So.
Oh yeah, I agree. 100% agree.
And then Ken, brings on Carson, and then he brings on Ron Rudat and Mark Pennington, and I'm just like, holy crap!
Yeah, I was so glad we got to share that. Seeing you, the two of you, and Gaz's backstage reaction to Ron Rudat coming on, and then the candid reaction when Mark Pennington came on at the end there. We shared that. And remember when we stopped the live stream and they left and we chatted for a bit, there was about a 5-second silence. And I looked at the three of you and I said, did that just happen? And all you guys burst out laughing because we still could not believe what it went down.
Oh yeah. You never. I know for Ryan, that was your first interaction with Ron Rudat. I was lucky enough to have Ron Rudat on my show as well, but it never gets old. Like it's never normalized, and that was one of the questions I had when we were talking.
Carson,
with Carson, it was like it could never get old, right? It must always feel exciting, and he was like, yeah, all the time. And I agree. Especially, I've had Sarge on the show, which I was never expecting, a couple of times now. And yeah, I never take it for granted. And it's always, even if I seem composed, I'll let you know. There's the child in me is going absolutely crazy.
Yeah, the child's going, that's freaking Sergeant Slaughter. I'm talking to Sergeant Slaughter. Sergeant Slaughter, he knows my name. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. When he showed up there the surprise time, and then also when you and Kelly brought me on for the Montreal Screwjob talk, I had to slap myself awake a few times because Sarge is an idol of all of ours, right? And you say that we've been good to you, but the two of you and the community we have, Gaz, everyone, have helped me with my confidence. I don't say this on my channel, but I'll say it here, and I will probably eventually say it on a live stream, but you two know I struggle with confidence issues like you wouldn't believe. You see how much I beat myself up for every small mistake I make on any video. Not everyone sees it, but you two see it. And I'm happy to talk about it now, but I really needed some confidence boosting. just because of the way my life has gone. And it's just necessary.
That's part of the reason why there's just over the last couple of weeks, there's been just, it's the YouTube drama that's been going around. And it really just kind of makes me think, it's like the news. All you see is the bad, the bad, the bad. You never get to see the good. But, it just makes me realize, like, there's a ton of good stuff going on in our community. And that's what we should be all talking about. You know what I mean? And to hell with all the haters, to hell with the people that only do videos for clicks. They're not part of this community. They're just out for themselves. So.
Mm-hmm. When you look at the news, the first thing I see is Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. And I'm like, wasn't this a couple of months ago?
Yeah, well, I try not to watch the news anymore. Just it sucks.
I know.
I think for our community, I think we're not trying to get anything from anyone. We're just literally trying to surround ourselves with like-minded people, friends, genuine conversation and enjoyment, rather than what can I get out of this? How can this serve me? Where I'm on the other end, was like, what can I do for you guys? Not the other way around.
I'm a believer. Give more than you take. That's my belief. Yeah. And I'm humbled every time Ryan sends a package like, oh, the Footloose figure you sent me and the Desert Trooper you sent me last time with the Energon cubes and the diorama. Ryan, like, I don't know how I could ever, my gratitude extends perpetually.
Right? Oh, that custom was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Mm-hmm. When you make custom figures, it's the fun part is making them, right? And same thing with the dios. But then I'm like, I want more joy out of this. And when I can give them to friends and they're like, I really love this. It's like, oh, this is perfect. This continues the joy. So
it does. And you've seen, I've already made a video of the desert combat trooper, as I called it, or my placeholder Dusty. But it'll always be in my collection anyway. I'll probably do one on the Footloose figure that you sent. That's why I was asking you questions about how you made it, so that I could, put that in the video, even if it's a short video. It just shows the genuine joy, and it fills a gap in the collection. And even if a real, like an official classified one comes out, well, this one was made by a buddy, and I got it first, and I got it some time ago, and there's a story behind it, and the story behind it is just as important as getting the item. I said it on Grindhead Jim's channel. There's some people out there who will buy a Holy Grail figure just to flaunt and flex to their friends. And it's those same kinds of people who have to have the biggest income, who are jealous of their friend's success, who have to have the biggest house or the nicest car. When you see me talk about my Diaclone Battle Convoy, every time the story comes with it. When I talk about my Grand Maximus, the story comes with it. It's not about the value, and those are valuable pieces, right? Worth in the 4 digits, but it's more about the sentimental value that people can relate to.
Yeah, I agree. There's nothing buys sentimental value. Mm-hmm. That's a wholly personal thing that lasts a lot longer than any actual physical thing.
Mm-hmm. Hugely. Wow.
I remember when I got my X19 again as an adult. That was the last Joe vehicle figure I got. I believe it was like 89, 90.
Yeah, the Phantom. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was the last thing. And I remember my mom was giving me shit about it because she's like, "You're too old to play with toys," and I'm like, "This is one amazing jet."
Yeah.
And it got, it got given away. And I remember as an adult, I found it on, eBay, and I'm like, I'm buying it. It was one of the first pieces I bought when I got back into it. And it was like, Christmas all over again. And then I'm like, okay, now I got to get a Sky Striker because that was like one of my first vehicles. So, and then once I got that, it was like, oh, it's all downhill from there. But yeah.
Downhill, I disagree. That's some great stuff there. It's a passion, right? It's a joy. There's no downhill as far as I'm concerned when you have something that brings you so much passion and joy.
Mm-hmm. But I think Ken's right. The more you give, the better it is. I think I get more joy out of, like, hooking friends up with if they need a figure. Like, instead of raking them over the coals, I'll be like, I'll give it to you, or just pay me what I paid for it. And I get more out of that.
I did that recently for Scuba Pete because he missed out on some Black Major bats, and I basically just said, you know what, just give me what I paid for it. And then he sent extra, so then I threw extra into the box. We were trying to like one up each other. Right? And then what I sent him, he actually needed. He was like, oh my goodness, like you sent repro accessories for a figure I had only just the body. And then he's like, how did you know? I'm like, I didn't. I just took a guess that you needed a Night Viper monocle.
That's cool.
Yeah. And these stories are forever, right? The dollars you could give me or I could give you, well, like you said, that's a quick hit. Like, okay, sure, now I'll go buy some pizza with it or something. But it's not always about that, right? If I want to sell something, I'll sell my extras at a toy show to strangers, right? Those are the same people that they're going to come and offer me way lower than I'm asking anyway, so I may as well try to fleece them. But my friends, no chance. No chance. It's either a gift or it's close to cost,
What's funny is Tony from, Welcome to the Terradrome, he wanted the Jigsaw figure and he couldn't find it. And I lucked out and I bought it, and I was going to use it for a custom, but then the skin tone didn't match up for what I wanted to do. So I just put it all in the bag, and we were talking, and he's like, yeah, I really am trying to get that Jigsaw figure. And I'm like, oh, I've got it. I'll send it to you. And he's like, no.
The Punisher one, right?
No, it's the one that was through Walgreens here in the States. Mm-hmm. So he comes with the shotgun with the smoke effects, and it's a nice figure. It's a Marvel Legend, and
yeah, that's what I mean. It's Marvel Legends, like Punisher line or whatever, right?
I thought he was a Spider-Man villain, but
Jigsaw's a Punisher villain.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm rusty on my Marvel.
He's definitely Punisher.
Okay.
I'm good with that. So I sent him that, and he's like, hey, I've got an extra spirit. I'm going to send it to you. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then, a buddy fixer's like, oh, I ordered that spirit from Amazon, but they canceled it. I'm like, well, that's funny because I've got an extra one. You want it? And he's like, I can't take it. I'm like, I'm sending it to you anyways. Deal with it.
Yeah. And you were talking about Anthony Romo, right? From Welcome to the Terradrome.
Yes.
That guy? Yeah. Tony's Figs on Instagram. That guy does good work.
Him and Giles, I blown away by the stuff that they make. It's absolutely crazy. He's an artist. He was using some of the cheapest Walmart paint you can get, and it's like, you're making your figures look that good with that cheap ass paint? He's like, well, yeah. I'm like, man, if you ever get the really good stuff, it's game over. And he started to buy some of the good stuff and try different things. This was probably like a year and a half ago. And now his stuff, it's just like crazy. The Dusty he just posted on Instagram is crazy. I mean, it's just like Hasbro. That's what your Dusty needs to look like.
Yeah, absolutely. You got some talented friends over there. How is your buddy Fixer doing? Pretty good.
He's doing good. Yeah. He's staying healthy. He's just enjoying time with his family and stuff. He's started doing some little customizations on some 1/18 scale stuff. So he's doing really good. He's fat, I always say, but he's lost a lot of weight now. But I'd say he's happy and sassy. How about that?
Okay, no, it's good to hear people are in a good place. Yeah. Cool. Oh, man. So what's next for you two, just in general?
Oh, geez. Well, I'm gearing up for what is hopefully going to be a relaxing weekend. Don't plan on leaving the house if possible. Got the premiere coming up for the Brazil version of the Cobra Battle Barge happening on Sunday. It'll be Sunday for me. It'll be Saturday for you guys. I'll get the review of that, and then I'm going live just to do a bit of a deep dive into that. But before that, I'm hanging out with Ken over on your channel, right?
That's right. Interesting, Lee, is I've been a little like burnt out. Like it's been hard to coordinate. As much fun as I have, you probably noticed the way I've coordinated the streams, making those thumbnails, coming up with the agendas, and still doing pre-produced videos every week has been a lot. And this week I just thought, you know what? I don't want to do all that right now. I want to give my brain a rest. But what's a stream that I wanted to do for a while that I don't need to do that much prep for, and I could just have a very organic conversation that could still be entertaining? And that topic that you and I talked about that one time, Xazyl, about life as a, what's it like being a toy YouTuber, the life and times. I'm like, that's a perfect time to do it, because then we got Streamathon the next week, which is going to require a lot of energy, right? So
right,
it's perfect timing to do this. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to the conversation with you, getting your thoughts on that, Xazyl.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a nice, just relaxing catch up. Yeah, we're just doing I'm looking forward to it. It'll be like a hangout.
That's right. That's right. I've done things a little too formally lately on TKO, so I just think, you know what? Why not just do a hangout? Just and it'll give me a chance to test my webcam again and all that. Me upgrading the gear here and there. Ryan knows too. Yeah.
It's all how far you want to take it and how much of an investment you want to make in it. And I mean, you can sink a serious amount of cash into, doing this and not get like any financial back from it. You don't make, even if you get to a certain amount of subscribers, right? You don't make very much off YouTube videos. So
yeah, unless it goes viral, then it's different.
Yeah, but how often does that happen, right? Jody,
I've seen one. Yeah, Jody.
and that was like 80s vehicles, and then like just went stupid crazy, right?
He's not even monetized. Like he doesn't even monetize his channel. He's just like, imagine the ad revenue on 2.5 million views is basically what he said to us.
But can man still make that too?
Yeah, I don't do any of this for any financial gain. Otherwise, I'd be bankrupt. And I don't intend on ever trying to reach that level. If I'm not doing this for myself and I'm not doing it for fun, well, then I might as well not do it. I appreciate everyone who watches the videos, and I appreciate all the members, all the subscribers, and everything like that for coming along on the ride. And I hope they do feel appreciated for it. But I mean this in the most positive way possible. Is that if I don't want to do something, I just won't do it.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. It can be quite a bit to do what we do. The two of you know that I was filming my vintage collection tour just this week, and you could feel the sweat on my brow going, man, do I have enough space on my hard drive for this? Am I even going to be able to film everything effectively without being interrupted? Am I going to get the time? Am I going to be too tired? Just all that. And I vented to you two. And I admit, I put myself through a tiny bit more stress than I should have, but I felt rewarded once I got closer to the end and realized, okay, this is possible. This is doable. So, yeah. But it takes a bit of effort, like a lot of effort, to do what we do.
You guys do. I just get on here and talk, and I'm happy with that, and that makes me happy. I can put fun little videos together, talk with friends. That's all I care about. But I'm impressed at, all the time with the stuff that you guys put together. It's amazing. So You know, and you
Well,
guys
thank
went.
Ryan for that spectacular promo as the Mountie.
That's so much fun. I
Yeah.
don't care. Oh, God, it's so much fun.
The Mountie is climbing up as one of my favorite characters, thanks to the way that you've portrayed him. He's a very close second to the Macho Monkey Wrench. They're both just so foolish, but they're also so serious in their foolishness. If that makes sense.
Yep. Life wrestlers, if they were real people. Macho Monkey Wrench, I can so see that type, and now he's King Macho. I could see that character in some wrestling promotion, a real life wrestling promotion. Same thing with the Mountie dressed like that, riding a horse to the ring. Completely can see that. You know, it's just perfect. They're perfect.
You know
and
what?
The Hitman too.
If the Hitman loses, we riot. I need to get a picture of my Jimmy Hart holding up like a Post-it note or something, just saying that. If Hitman loses, we riot.
I just got some lines sent to me by Corbett Lang, who's going to be voicing the Anvil.
Oh yes.
So the Hitman's bringing some buddies with him.
So is the Mountie going to become the Quebecers now? he needs backup too.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, the Quebecers, the Rougeau brothers. He has backup. He has Pierre, the Quebecers, and he has his brother Ray Rougeau. If he really wants to dig deep into the vault,
maybe I'll just name his horse Quebecer.
That would be funny.
Yeah,
it's just been so much fun to record those, and thank you for the opportunity, Xazyl, to do that. The one that I'm really excited though is the Dead Man. I just can't wait for that one.
Oh yeah, he's going to keep showing up periodically before he finally has to enter into the ring. But when he does, it's going to be an event, that's for sure.
Now, I know you've said in the past that you don't know who's going to win until you start filming.
Right. I think the only one that I had an inkling that was going to be the winner was when it was the Blanca match.
Yes.
Versus Taurus. And the reason why, and Ken picked up on it, was because of the Honky Tonk match where the Ultimate Warrior comes in and pretty much just dominates.
Yes.
But the idea wasn't for, because what happens is, for those that haven't seen it, is Blanca comes running in, dives into the ring, and then instantly pins Taurus. Now, that was never meant to happen. What was meant to happen was he was supposed to dominate first and then pin, but he dropped, I dropped him off, I held him off camera and dropped him in, and the way that he landed, it was like an instant pin, and I was like, oh, this is too good. And then and that's just how it went. It was just like, okay, this is not how I thought it was going to go, but imagine if this is it. It just jumps in, pins him, done. So so that was a happy accident. But other than that, originally I think I was going to have Sarge lose against Nemesis and Enforcer just so it could be like, anything can happen sort of thing. I didn't want everyone to just assume that because Sarge is my favorite, that that he was going to just automatically win. And then partway through, as I was doing it, I was like, all right, I got to figure out how I'm going to turn this around and make Nemesis and Enforcer win. And then I just couldn't bring myself to do it. And then it was like, oh, okay. It's hard to win.
But that creates some suspense even for you, because you're not booking it ahead of time. You're booking it as you go along. And then you're showing us the result after.
Some of that's pretty much how it works out for me. I think the one with Vega, if you remember correctly, Vega versus Macho Monkey Wrench, the initial idea I thought what was going to happen was, because it was an homage to the a feud between Macho Man and Jake the Snake, I thought that it would be really fun to have that, but have a spin on it where instead of Jake the Snake, it was Vega the Snake, but I would have Vega do the right thing and not eliminate himself, and then go off and win the match. Then I thought, after I'd filmed all of that, I was like, what if he does come back in and he's got those claws on him? And then that pretty much eliminated. So technically Vega won until he eliminated himself, but that was a last-minute decision too. And there's some very, very cheeky nods. I don't know if anyone's ever caught it. There's some very cheeky nods to Spider-Man versus Bonesaw in that match as well.
Yes.
Yeah, Spider-Man. Yeah.
Holding onto the side of the cage and a number of different things. Yeah. Which I thought was like, this is freaking brilliant because pop culture, you're tying in pro wrestling, which is next to G.I. Joe. It's one of my favorite things. And then you're bringing in, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. I'm like, damn, this is amazing.
I had to do a nod. To Bonesaw. But even when it came down to the type of match that was with the cage around it, I didn't have that cage until the day I started filming it. And I was like, oh, I can make this a cage match. And then pretty much just switched it up in that manner there, just on the fly. And then sometimes I'll build the story part of it, because there's usually a story at the beginning and the end before the actual. Because the way I see it is the story that happens at the beginning of the end is just what's happening in their world, right? But the wrestling portion of it is what's technically being transmitted for people to watch live. So live viewers technically, in the world of the SWC, don't see what happens before and after. But the before and after stuff, sometimes I'll have an idea of what I want to happen, and sometimes I'll just shape it around, whatever I think works for the best for the actual episode itself. I don't know if that's making sense or not, but it's usually not pre-planned either.
Right.
No, it makes total sense because basically, I love the way you think about it. Like the wrestling match is live, but you don't know the backstage stuff because that's not included in the broadcast. So it's like, oh, that's so smart. I like that.
That's why they're
here. Oh, brilliant.
That's why
you don't break kayfabe on your own. Your own kayfabe.
So I think technically the Mountie versus the Hitman match will be the final episode of the first season, and then season 2 will pick up with a new ring provided by Adam from Go Figure. That's going to be epic. Haven't locked in who's going to be the opening one, but I'm almost certain it's going to involve a train set. So I picked up a G.I. Joe style battery-powered train set, and I think maybe I'll start it off like that. Like an old school Western.
Okay. That would be... See, you're talking through it already. I love how when the creative juices are flowing like that. That's when we do our best stuff.
Oh, and with a new live segment recorded by Sergeant Slaughter for season 2. I'm holding on to it until season 2. Yeah. So the next one will finish off with the old, which I was super happy that he did anyway the first time. But he and Kelly felt compelled to re-record it to pronounce my name properly.
Oh, yeah. That's why I actually thought your name was pronounced wrong. I was like, so I say it as Xazyl, right? He's like, you're like, no, that's not how you say it. Because I picked it up on the Sarge.
Right, but it was never an issue for me. I was like, it's close enough, right? Closer than most if you're just looking at it, right? It's not bad. It's not a bad one to pronounce that way. But so it was never an issue for me. I never complained about it. I was happy with what I got. I was glad that he was pretty much doing the opening and closing bumpers of like a G.I. Joe episode, right? It starts with the real life Sergeant Slaughter saying that we've got some exciting wrestling action coming from the Slaughterhouse Wrestling Championship. That's good enough for me. That's good enough for me. But yeah, now he's re-recorded it with my correct pronunciation of the name and all. Yeah. Good on him. What a great bloke. And thanks to Kelly as well for helping to orchestrate that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's just so cool that you get both of them on your channel there. It's what makes it truly unique and stand out in the space. Like, we know we're not getting cookie cutter run of the mill stuff from the Slaughterhouse for that reason. Makes us tune in, right? So,
right. Well, yeah. But for the first time in a long time, I've done, other than what I did for Iconicon, where I went through every single. First of all, how cool is it to go through every single action figure of recent times of Sergeant Slaughter with Sergeant Slaughter? What?
Yep. And the video is back on your community tab there. So if anybody wants quick access to it and doesn't want to search, just go straight to Xazyl's community tab. It's one of the most recent posts. Have a look at it.
Well, yeah, and to think that this is a man in his 70s, right? So his wrestling career, like, gauged, 70s, 80s, and then to the early part of the 90s, okay? He was part of G.I. Joe. But he's had 3 Mattel figures, 2 Valaverse figures, and now he's going to have 1 G.I. Joe figure and probably more to go. There's nobody out there who's doing that.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
And it's crazy.
When you talk about Mattel, you're also adding in the Masters of the WWE universe. He-Man inspired Sergeant Slaughter. How cool is that?
Yeah, I'm looking at mine right now. It's the only Motu WWE figure I have because it represents Sarge, Man at Arms, right? And it's G.I. Joe, it's wrestling, and it's Motu. Like, it's a triple cross.
Yeah.
That's why I have that one. I don't have any others, right?
But, if you look at, Hogan doesn't have that. The Rock doesn't have that. Both of those guys, I know, Xazyl, you probably won't agree, but those were both bigger stars than what Sarge was. But for whatever reason, he resonates with toy collectors.
Well, if you want to go even further into his pop culture connections, you've also got the Super Mario Brothers, and
you're right.
Yeah, he was a live action segment in that cartoon series with the live action bumpers that they did. Sarge turned up a couple of times, and he was in the G.I. Joe / Transformers crossover comic. So he's also had a tie-in with Transformers.
He's done it all. He's well traveled, and I agree with what Ryan said. Hogan or Rock hit the mainstream more, yet the loyalists to Sarge seem to be more come out of the woodwork more, right? Like, I think of Hogan and Rock for their big moments. I think of Sarge as his constant presence across all walks of pop culture as the same guy. Whether it's Action Force, whether it's WWE, whether it's G.I. Joe.
So The Rock was in G.I. Joe, but he wasn't there as The Rock. He was there as Roadblock.
Oh, it's more than that too. It's the retaliation. People try to forget it. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself. I don't know, but it feels like people try to forget it, right? Like, they don't want to associate The Rock with being Roadblock.
Right.
Right? Like, the hardcore fan, the people I talk to, Sarge is Sarge. The Rock to them will always be Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression Rock. He will never be Roadblock in their minds.
Well, I think that's where they screwed up. If you're going to bring The Rock in, Roadblock is a specific character that the Joe fans remember as, the rhyming chef, right? Mm-hmm. The Rock should have just been The Rock. That should have been, Sergeant Stone, whatever you want to call him, but let him be a character all to himself.
Mm-hmm. And this, sorry, go ahead. You first.
And the only thing I want to add is the fact that Bruce Willis was given a part that should have went to Sarge. If Sarge could have done it, I think that completely changes that picture.
It does. It does. And I don't know if G.I. Joe movies can ever truly be great. Now, you could say what you want about the 87 film. It had an impact. I'm usually a detractor of that film. But
shame.
can it ever be good now? Like, can G.I. Joe ever hit it big in theaters?
Well, yeah, if they make it an 80s movie.
Right.
I don't think you could do an ensemble G.I. Joe cast movie. I think you'd have to handle it like they did with the MCU.
Okay.
I think if they would have not done Snake Eyes, if that movie was based around Storm Shadow and his story, and then you can tie in Snake Eyes, that gets you there. I think like a Netflix show or Hulu is something where you base it around like Chuckles or Agent Hauser, where you go the dark side of G.I. Joe. That's going to get the adults into it.
CIA Agent Hauser. Who would have ever thought that idea, huh?
Well, actually, I'm gonna go a different route here and say that they should do what they're doing with the X-Men animated series and just continue the story of G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero. Pick it up where the movie left off.
Well,
or ignore the movie and continue off where the last season was. Whatever the preference is, wherever it technically finished off, pick it back up. You've already established the characters. You've already got your fan base. You don't need to explain anyone. You just keep going with the very next episode, just like they did with that comic book. They did a comic book recently where it was the cartoon universe. Do that.
You know what? I hope they do some form of cartoon, because obviously He-Man with Revelations is doing some business there. Transformers recently did War for Cybertron, so I hope they do that. But I'm gonna say reskin it, do an Expendables type of film, and don't even call it G.I. Joe, but give us the names of the characters and cast them somewhat realistically similar to the 80s characters. Don't even call it G.I. Joe. Make an Expendables type film. That's what I say.
Yeah, because let's be honest, Predator was really a great G.I. Joe movie because it had, the alien that, somebody has to beat at the end. So it's that unbelievable type situation. But
has anyone seen Prey yet? Because I've seen one really good review on it.
I've seen it.
Good.
I think that it was brilliant until the end.
Okay.
It's not that the ending's bad. It's just if you look at the ending of Predator, that's a pretty epic ending, right? On the grand scheme of things, it's very grandiose. It's explosive. It's like do or die, right? Mm-hmm. And it, high stakes. And I just think that Prey ends a little bit lackluster for me personally. Not a bad movie though. Good movie. Poor ending.
No,
disagree.
Fair enough. As for G.I. Joe, I'm first off, I'll probably watch Prey pretty soon. Then, with G.I. Joe, I think they were hoping Snake Eyes would be their Bumblebee type of film, and it didn't hit in that regard. So they have to go a different route, right? Because Bumblebee didn't gross as high as the other live action films, though it certainly didn't do poorly. Like, it still made a ton of money, but it was like the second lowest grossing, but it was critically acclaimed. And if you get that, because they'd already done a lot of big budget with Transformers before they did Bumblebee. If you go the other way with G.I. Joe, if Snake Eyes had hit and you get a critically acclaimed film that makes some money, you now have room to go up, right? They didn't hit that. I just hope they find another route with this franchise. Because
was Bumblebee a hit? Was Bumblebee a hit?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Critically, it was acclaimed. A lot of people felt it was better than any of the other live action films. It was the only one that was like constantly a positive review.
Did it make money though? Because they haven't done anything with it since.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying is all the live action films made a lot of money. This was the second lowest grossing, but that's not to say that it didn't make money. I think it still grossed like $650 million or something, which was way over what their budget was anyway. So they still made way more than their budget, made more than their money back, way more. But it did not gross to the level of the other films because it wasn't as all encompassing. It was a personal story,
right?
So it was geared to the first 5 minutes of that film with all the CG was geared towards people like us. Right, I think they wanted to go for the critical acclaim knowing they wouldn't make as much, but they would still make enough. And you're right, they haven't done anything with it since. But what else are you going to do with it, with Bumblebee, since? You know, what else can you do with it?
Well, and I think there could also be that Transformer live action hangover, where the first couple movies were, you know, I loved all of them. I won't
really
say
really.
Yeah, look, movie is entertainment to me. I'm not gonna, go into it like, oh, I'm gonna just, oh, this was horrible. If it's fun and entertaining, I'll watch it. Oh, I loved it. There's crappy movies. Don't get me wrong. There's crappy movies, but I'm pretty easy. I mean, come on. I love Megaforce. I like Buckaroo Banzai. I mean, I'm not,
Yeah.
Where's Gaz?
I'm not like,
where's Gaz to comment on this?
But I think for what they were trying to do, they were fun movies, and that's what it's about. I will admit the last one with the Dinobots. God, if I could think about it, that one I didn't like Marky Mark in there. I just think that mixture of the human with the robots, it's getting kind of old.
Yeah.
It is.
I've misspoke, because isn't there a Transformers movie coming up soonish with Optimus Primal in it?
There's supposed to be a Rise of the Beasts, right?
Right. That's live action though, right?
It is live action. I'm not sure. I haven't followed that particular bit of news, so I'm not actually sure what's going on there. But I do see Alex from Raging Nation, because he's a local YouTuber to me, but he hasn't been active lately. But I saw him posting about it near the end of 2021 there, so I wasn't sure when exactly it was going to come out.
Because I wonder where that Transformer movies or a continuation of Bumblebee.
I'm not sure.
All right, lads. Thanks for having me on, Ryan, Ken. Great to hang out again.
Yep.
But, I'll dismiss myself.
Have a great rest of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Ryan, I'm actually good to go backstage.
Okay.
We're
going to end this broadcast, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us on the live stream. So have a good one.